Where does Sunn come from? Where does the nickname come from?
Sunn is my, actually my art name for when I'm out there in Greektown and on the Riverwalk.
Interesting.
I needed a pseudonym to kind of go by, you know, incognito out there working the streets. And so Sunn actually comes from the last part of my name, Anderson.
I didn't even, I was thinking about it before the show. I couldn't figure it out.
So I broke it down, Anderson and the sun.
and you kind of have like a bright disposition.
Well, my work and my attitude is all about bringing light and just bright colors and just making people feel good with my artwork. So, and that's what the sun does. It makes you feel good. You need that energy to get through your everyday. So that's me. It best describes me. Sun.
Yeah. Plus, you know, the cover shot of your show is a rising sun. You know.
Yes.
Is that a phoenix?
That is the phoenix, and this is a rising moment for me because we're coming back. We went through a lot throughout our art career, and at one point it really hit rock bottom. And so this is our resurgence. We're back. This is our first show in many years.
Wow.
And I've been working strictly as a vendor in Greektown just to earn an income as an artist. So now I'm back on the gallery scene. I have a huge project I'm doing for Sinai Grace Hospital, and things are looking up. So I feel like that phoenix right now.
What inspired this collaboration between you two to get this gallery off the ground and you know to get this showing, you know, to happen?
Well, what inspired us? Sunn and I have shown a couple times in the past, and this was our opportunity, as you said, to rise again and bring a body of beautiful work back to the scene.
I mean, I was going to say, you talk about Detroit, a city that's come back. You know, I think it burned down at least one time. That's where we get Campus March. It's a whole like spoken wheel thing from. Like we've come back again and again.
Yes.
It's sort of in our nature, you know, this city.
And we're just tying our connection to Detroit.
Yeah.
Because we was in the process at that same time that Detroit was going through its bankruptcy. We were literally going through our bankruptcy
as well, yes.
because things had reached rock bottom. There was no clientele for art. Detroit was dead. But now, all of a sudden, it's back. We have plenty of clients now. And so that's the whole theme and the whole concept. This gallery has been here for over 20 years, serving this community. It's a grassroots gallery. It's one of the most positive things that you can find in this area.
Yeah, I walked here all the way from Greektown. I was telling Donald earlier. He's right. in like the several block radius, you guys. Speaking of Sunn, you're shining light on this area. We need a bit of that positivity back here in the city.
Yes.
And I was going to ask, you know, you talk about your relation to Detroit in your art, and you in this gallery as well. So how does the city maybe affect certain creative decisions you guys make, or you know, like how does it come through when you paint a painting, or how does it come through when you want to have a showing, or what are you looking for to show off the city?
Well, I'm looking for work that is positive and to give artists an opportunity to have an event space. You know, that's not always that artists have a venue where they can show their work. So that's where I come in. I give them that space. I'm the alternative art and event space.
Yes. Yeah, it seems like there's like a whole row of them, you know, when you kind of get into downtown, even midtown.
Yes.
But this is sort of like, would you kind of consider yourself sort of, you're paving your own path, like, or are you in, you know, linked arms with other galleries? Are you collaborating at all?
I do support the other galleries because we cannot make it as individuals.
That's very true.
So yeah, we're all sort of locked arms at some point, yes.
Yeah.
That's how we make it, you know.
Yeah. Lately, I'm going to ask both of you guys, who or what is inspiring you the most? I know we talk about Detroit, but anything in particular, maybe Detroit or even outside of Detroit, you know? You were talking about music.
Well, music is a big part of my passion. And I like what the musicians do with their music and how they're able to make people feel good. So I try to put those same qualities in my work, and the best way to do that is to listen to lots of music.
Well, to that note, any music that's really kind of inspiring you lately?
Oh, well, when I first get started painting, I usually start off with either John Coltrane or Miles Davis, preferably John Coltrane and his just cosmic appeal with his music. Because, again, those are qualities I like to have in my artwork. He was one of the most passionate, spiritual musicians there ever was. And although I'm not a very religious person, I'm extremely spiritual.
Yes.
And I try to put that in my artwork. And hopefully that helps others.
And yourself, is there anything that's inspiring you, or even as a gallery owner? You say you want to be a space to welcome in artists. Obviously, you have a duty as a curator to choose things. So like what sort of is obviously let's not forget this is inspiring you. Like you can maybe say a word or two about that.
Well, this is quite inspiring, but as the curator, it's my job to make sure the artists feel that their work is always worthy. I don't believe it's my job to turn their work down if they have passion for it. I'm going to help them make it look as most wonderful as I can. But when we're talking about the music, I start with the house music,
Wow.
He goes with the jazz. I'm like the house music person. And that gets me up, gets me out. I can cut grass all day. I can sweep and clean, and that just keeps me motivated.
Did you happen to go to DEMF last week? The Detroit Electronic Music Festival over at Hart Plaza?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Wow. Oh, yeah. I was there on Saturday, but it's beautiful. I didn't attend. I was like taking pictures, plying my trade, as it were.
It's a very interesting venue, and it's been in Detroit for quite some time.
Yes.
It's evolved a bit, but it actually started here, So that's been a beautiful thing to see it come back year after year.
Yes. We need to, we need to keep art going. So here's some artist-specific questions. Now that we have our alone time. All right. All right. Here's a tricky one.
Okay.
You can feel free to talk to them if you need to. Is there anything you're too scared to paint?
Oh, no.
Nothing off limits.
There is no off limits when it comes to painting. Now, showing it, that's a little bit different.
Yes.
But I try to paint things that I'm passionate about or things that just catch my eye. And I love stepping outside of the box, painting things that I never even attempted or thought about painting. So I'm wide open when it comes to my subject matter, but I'm quite selective as to what I show because it has to be appropriate for the scene.
Well, that actually brings up, this is my biggest question I want to ask you. I might as well ask it right now because it kind of transitions nicely. There's this Russian intellectual named Alexander Solzhenitsyn, and he spent 10 years in a gulag, had a very hard life. The very first book that the USSR ever published to the Western world was one of his.
Okay.
So finally he gets released from exile and is given, goes to America. He's given an honorary doctorate from Harvard. He's given a speech. This is a long setup for a short question. And, so he saw the worst in the world. And clearly, Detroit, we've seen some of the worst, in the world as well, I would argue.
Yes.
And so he gives a speech about, because of what he's seen, advice that he has. Okay. And he's giving advice about like art, and he says decadence in art is something we should avoid. Is too much sexuality, too much violence.
Yes.
I look around at this showing today, and I it's positive, it's happy, and I see quite the opposite. So maybe could you comment to, are you purpose about that?
I understand that question, and it's really deep in it, and it's really, art covers all spectrums.
Okay.
And it's truly up to the individual artist and what their life is all about. And I've seen all the doom and gloom. I've been in Detroit most of my life. I've seen some of the most horrible things you ever could imagine, and have experienced some of the most horrible things you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
I choose not to show that. My work is about uplifting and making you feel good. You may have been one of those people who has witnessed or experienced something very horrible, and you need something to uplift. There's plenty of things in our world to bring us down. I'm trying to provide some of the things that bring us up and uplift us.
So would you say that's maybe what you want to leave? Is that your gift to Detroit?
Oh, that is my gift to the universe.
To the you don't stop.
No, Detroit is just my base. My work is universal, and I think universally. I'm not just here on thinking about planet Earth. I'm thinking about where are we in the universe, and where are we going, where should we be, and what's the best route to take.
Now earlier we had a little conversation, and you talked about abstract being, would you say your first love, or one of your first?
Yeah.
We stand in front of one of your abstract pieces, and you talk about the universe, and I can't help but think, like what comes through when you're doing the abstract painting?
I always think about the universe and my place in the universe. But when I get a chance to do an abstract painting like this, it really frees me up and allows me to use all those talents that I have when I'm doing more realistic work. See, I've developed a lot of painting skills through doing realism work, illustration work, commercial art work. And these are skills that come in quite handy when you're doing a non-representational type painting, where you're just painting for the sake of painting. And so I love to be able to do that type of work, and it frees me up, and I'm able to utilize these techniques in my realism work.
That's beautiful.
So it's all about just painting and being like that jazz musician that improvises and experiments. And so I cannot always experiment when I'm doing something realistic or something custom for a client that wants it a certain specific way. And I do support myself as an artist, so sometimes I take on these type of jobs.
Naturally.
They gotta be done a certain way.
yeah. You gotta always, if you're paying, you gotta please them. Whose art hangs in your house?
Whose art hangs in my house?
Yes, sir. and I want to ask you that.
If you came to my house, you wouldn't have to ask that question. Because my house is actually my studio / gallery.
Interesting.
So, most of the artwork that you're going to find out in my house is actually my artwork. Because I'm constantly looking at my artwork. I'm not just putting my artwork out there for folks. I like to live with it myself and enjoy it and get a good feel for it before I release it to the universe. So actually my walls are covered. I do have some of my students' artwork that I love very much hanging in my place though. So that would be the exception to the rule.
Oh, so how long have you been teaching as well as painting, for yourself?
I started teaching artwork in 1985. By chance. I was still an art student myself, but I was discovered by a director for a program called Young Artists and Company. And she just loved my personality and the way that I was able to talk and work with others. And I had no experience whatsoever in teaching.
That's interesting.
But she took me under her wing and taught me how to be an art teacher. And from there, I went on not only to teach at Wayne State University, but also for the Center of Creative Studies.
Oh my word.
Most of the Detroit public schools I have interacted with in one way or other as a work-study artist, or after-school artist in resident, or in-school artist in resident, and just different types of summer programs. So I've been doing it ever since 1985.
You are a man about town, like truly, like you're there all the
I'm spreading the art. I'm just spreading. It's so needed. Most of the schools don't even offer any art whatsoever. And my question is, how can you teach any subject without including art?
Very true.
So we know, as artists, we know the importance of it. And I know that there's various reasons and things that happen in society why it's not being offered. But I'm going to do my part to make sure anyone that's interested in art get a little dose of it from myself.
You've taught, and we're speaking of, empowering the younger generation. What advice would you have for someone just starting out in art? Or maybe if you could speak to yourself, go on a time machine and give yourself advice.
Well, anyone that is venturing off into artwork, I would tell them just develop your skills, to practice every day. if you want to be good at it, and you have to be good at it if you're thinking of making a living at it. Most folks think that just because you have a natural passion for something that you can be successful at. No, it requires serious, hard work. And so if you don't love it, find something that you truly love, that you would do whether you're getting paid or not, and something that you're willing to bust your butt at. Then you got a great chance of being successful. Otherwise, go get a job.
That's beautiful advice. That's beautiful. Okay, one more question. What's an area of your art or of your process that you think hasn't been tapped into yet, like, or a part of your expression as a creative person?
I think something that people maybe don't understand is the drive to keep going, even when it looks like there's nowhere to go. Even when it looks like there's no success or any type of, anything that's just going to enhance your life. Sometimes you're at your worst moment, you're at your lowest. How do you continue to keep going?
Yes.
So that's something that I would like to could explore.
All right, well, that's very beautiful. I'm glad you gave a message of hope to the young generation.
Yes.
You explained, your inspiration, art, the music, and your involvement in the city. Yes. Not just teaching, but being an artist yourself, selling,
yes,
and spreading a positive message to the city. So thank you for having this gallery showing here in Detroit, and thank you as well.
It's been a pleasure.
I appreciate it. Yes.
Thank you very much. This is
yes.
so outstanding. I knew one day we'd get a chance to work together.
Yes, sir.
We see each other all the time. But all your questions are fabulous. Thank you. I'm gonna always treasure this interview.